It's Pete from Cheap Homesteading, and I'm in the garage this morning, and I'm working on a Jonsered 520 SP. A friend of mine dropped it off. The main issue with the saw is that it'll run for a bit and then shut off, and then run for a bit and then shut off. We will get to that problem, but meanwhile he broke the pull cord on it, and the pull cord's kind of in bad shape. I'll show you. Here's the pull cord. You can see that it ate through the plastic here, the pull cord, because he's pulling out this way, which is okay. But it ate through this little metal grommet that goes into the plastic, so it keeps the pull cord from eating into the plastic hole. And it ate right through it, so it made a sharp edge, and then it started cutting into the cord, and then it cut the cord. So if we just fixed it, you would have the same problem. So we are going to try to fix this. Just take the air cleaner off, the filter. I just found out that Jonsered is just a cheaper version of a Husky, more economical, let's put it that way. But most of the engine parts and everything is all the same. It's just, a lot of it's just cosmetic differences. So I'm thinking, man, if it's only cosmetic differences, it's probably not that bad of a saw to get. I'm a huge fan of Husky stuff. I pretty well only run them. I do own one MS250. But I really do like running my Husky 55s. They go a long, long time, and they're very reliable. So I am pretty happy with them. It's not like I need any more saws. That's all I can say. I have plenty of saws out there. More than I can ever use. But if I ever needed a good, reliable saw, I'm sure a Jonsered would be a good option. Okay. So now we are going to remove the cover. The reason I took the top cover off first is one little tab that goes on there. And so the last screw is the mounting screw for your kickback handle. It's still going into that cover. There we go. Cover's off. Gonna get a rag. I don't feel like starting my compressor right now. I'll blow it out before I... I'm going to remove, there's a screw right in the center. We're going to remove that. When you remove this, so in here you can see there's a little bit of a grommet, steel bushing that goes in, and I was trying to get it out but I couldn't, and I can see why. There's a huge lip on it, so it must come in from this side. I dug through all my stuff and I found a little bit of a compression fitting, like a thin brass type pipe, and I slid it in. It already had a taper on one side, and then I just tried to pound down the other side so it'll stay in. I'll show you. You know, I don't know what to think of this. I think I should have just went and bought the cover, but the cover's hard to find, and honestly, this isn't very pretty, but this should last probably the rest of the life of this saw anyways. So what I did was, see, there's your flare. I slid it up in. I forgot to video this, so I put the inside on here, and then I tapped down on it. So I didn't wreck the spot where the cord goes in. and I pounded down on it. It doesn't, as I say, it doesn't look that pretty. And if this cover was more accessible for me, I would have just replaced it. But it's all tapped in, pounded. I'm going to file just so there's no burrs on the inside. Give it a little bit of a light sanding, and then we're going to reassemble it. This is the same kind of piece I use to fix my pull cord eyelet. It's just out of the plumbing department, I believe. I don't know what the name of it is. And I just cut the end off, and then I flared the other side so it won't fall out. You want to blow out all the till the whole cover's clean. You put your spring back in. Make sure that the spring does not fall out of this little holder, this little plastic holder. If it does, it'll go with a big long piece of spring, and that is a real pain to put back in. So you're going to slide this back in this little groove. That can be a bit of a pain. Okay, so there you go. You got your spring in. Now, okay, so we're going to unwind the old cord. We're going to pull on here. Okay, there you go. This is the pull cord that was in it. This is the pull cord that I have. This is more the size of what you have for this size chainsaw. So the thicker the cord, the less that can fit on the reel too, so that doesn't help. There's two ways. You can tie a knot and use some contact cement on the knot, or you can heat it up. And I use heated up because every time I go to look for contact cement, I don't have it. So I just kind of melt the knot ever so gently. And we're going to tighten up the end here. So what you need to do is fish it in through this hole. And I kind of twist it and push. And then normally it'll just go through. Sometimes you gotta try to give it a little bit of help. Okay, so I'm going to use the screwdriver. I'm going to give it a little bit of a shove, and I'm going to fish. There you go. Okay, so now you're going to give it a good tug to make sure that that knot is not going to slip. It shouldn't slip because you've heated up the knot, so it kind of glues the knot together. So we get your cover, and you got your pull cord. So you see this is the direction that it's got to roll it. So you roll up your string. Always start off with too much string. It's nothing worse than a pull cord that's too short on a chainsaw. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this through here. Here's the notch in the pull cord, and here is the end of the spring, and that's got to be lined up when you shove this in, which is easier said than done sometimes. And you hold on it, see, oh, I think it is. It returns it. Okay, so then you give it a little bit of test. You pull it, and I think it is, because it returns. So you get your screw, and we'll fasten that down. give it a few tries, make sure that it works good and it retracts nice. Okay, so I save this from the scrap heap. Okay, so I have an old pull cord head here. And the one thing about this is important, that you want to make sure you pull the cord enough through that when you tie it, there's tensions for when it returns. Nothing worse than when you have your pull cord and the thing's hanging down all the time. I hate that. That just looks bad. So the way you can fix that is you pull on it, and tie the knot a little bit farther back, just so there's a little more tension on the pull cord handle. And then you pull on the knot hard, and we're going to heat that one up too. Ooh, that's awkward. So you kind of heat up the knot again. Not too much to burn the threads totally, but enough to squeeze the knot together. It's nylon, so it heats up and then kind of gets a little tacky, I find. Those are a great pair of scissors. Okay. Okay, so we're going to heat up the very end again, so it won't fray back, and squish it. And then we just kind of tuck it in. So there you go. Your pull cord is fixed, and we are ready to go. Okay, so we have the chainsaw. There was two problems. The pull cord was broken, and the other one, it would run for 20 minutes and then it would shut off and not restart. So what I'm going to do is, before we fix the restart problem, I'm going to blow it out, we're going to reassemble it, and I'm going to try to run it and see what I think it is. So we're going to blow off the saw. Make sure all the fins are blown out nice. You get your pull cord cover, you set it down, you give it a little bit of a tug, and it lines up the cogs in your flywheel. You got longer screws and shorter screws. There's two short ones here and a short one here. The long one goes through here, and the rest hold down the top cover. Okay, so one thing I did see, it looked like this hose got pinched between here when it was tightened down. I think the hose is just too long. I am going to fix this right now. We're just going to clip it a little shorter so it doesn't have that extra space to get caught on stuff. And make sure your little choke grommet goes in place. Okay, so we'll just tighten down the cover. We'll put the air filter in and we'll give this thing a try. Okay, so switch is on, choke's out. Let's see what happens. So there you go. It's all fixed up and ready to go. You guys have a good one.